What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Bianconeri zone. And we are going to talk about transfers a little bit because we're going to go back to Kolo Muani because a news report came out and it suggests two things: that PSG did Kolo Muani dirty. That's one. And that he was actually very close to joining us on Sunday evening. However, because for once, and I need to, or we all, I think, need to applaud the club for this. In this instance, they were prepared because they actually believed Kolo Muani was impossible and they had an option B being Openda, and they closed that option B. They were not unprepared. It wasn't like it's Kolo Muani until Monday and then PSG is like, no, not doing this, and you end up with absolutely nothing in place. We were prepared. However, Kolo Muani was actually on his way until the club Juve Comoli said we are not waiting anymore, and they already done deal the Openda thing. So we're gonna talk about that one and what it means actually for the future of this club, the way we're moving. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and let's dive straight into it. Okay, before I get into it, prediction video is probably going to be out next week. Something came out from me and Julian. However, two coaches corner from Julian will also drop this week on Openda and Zegrova. But this is the news report. It's coming from Gazzetta dello Sport, and they are saying that Sunday, so after the day, after the game, basically Sunday night, Monday morning, basically at 3 a.m. So PSG suddenly softened their stance, opening up to the possibility of letting Kolo Muani join Juve on just a dry loan. Around 3 a.m., they contacted Comoli in this case. However, by then, Comoli told PSG, well, it's too late because we already agreed everything with Openda. With Leipzig, we're just finishing the paperwork, and he's flying to Torino, basically, because we didn't agree the Openda deal at 10 a.m., 10 in the morning, and at 11 he was in Italy doing his medical. That was agreed, like the report basically saying, at 3 a.m. And for once, I need to go with the Gazzetta dello Sport report because he has joined Tottenham on a dry loan. So you can look at both ways. PSG did him dirty, I think 100%, because at the end, they let him go for something they didn't want to let him go to us to a certain point. You can look at the club you've been being like, man, you did him dirty. To some degree, yeah, because we promised him, but it didn't happen. We did him dirty because he waited, he rejected everything, even Spurs early on in the summer, because he wanted to play for us. So we did that. However, PSG said, no, we want the money, and Comoli was like, we're not going to give you that type of money, we're not doing an obligation, etc. And it was no, 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 up to a certain point where it was like, okay, we agree on the 60 million valuation. That was a week ago today, where it's like, yeah, it's agreed, 60 million valuation. Now they just need to iron out the bonuses, the structure, the loan fee, when does the obligation kicks in, etc. And then the report came out, you know what? Comoli changed his demands, and that could be very true. He could have called up PSG and it's like, you know what? The deal we have agreed on, I need to come back on that because I don't really want that. And to one point, we were in a strong position because Kolo Muani wanted to join us, and PSG wanted to move out Kolo Muani. But for some reason, PSG was like, no, we're not doing it. We're keeping Kolo Muani. Then we're not going to do that. And for Comoli, I think it was, okay, if you're not doing that, then we need to have a backup option. And a couple of days later, they contacted Leipzig and Openda. Openda was like, probably like, yeah, open to it. And Leipzig was like, these are the terms, basically. We can work around this basis. And, and the club was like, cool. Until the point where it was like, we still want Kolo Muani. And PSG was like, no, we're not going to do this. So we were prepared. We made a promise to Kolo Muani. However, Sunday after the game, we probably also made a promise to Openda and Leipzig. And at that moment in time, the club probably got told by PSG, this is not happening. So you made a promise to another club and a player, and you're on deadline day already. So you cannot go back from that. You cannot say to Openda and Leipzig right now, forget about it. We're going back to Kolo Muani on a dry loan. So that is kind of the situation because now he has joined Tottenham on a dry loan. What we basically, I don't think we wanted a dry loan, actually. We didn't even want an obligation. PSG probably was pissed because we agreed something and we tried to change that, and they have every reason to be pissed. But if you're PSG, you knew what the situation is. You knew you were not going to sell Kolo Muani on a permanent deal for that amount of money, you know? So that's kind of petty. And yeah, as a club, you're like, oh my God, we kept our foot down. But now, as a club, you're like, he's out on loan and he's coming back next season. And we're doing this all over again. For us, it's done. You got Openda, and the obligation will, according to reports, will kick in because it's very easy. Some are saying about playing 10 games, others saying finishing top four. The obligation will probably kick in. So for us, it's kind of done unless, I don't know, Vlahovic is gone and maybe another player, like someone leaves and the club is like, okay, we go back to PSG with a lower valuation because he has less on his contract and we can do this all again next summer. But the club made a decision, and you can look at it the other way, saying, okay, we got Openda and Zegrova for the price of Kolo Muani, including the wages. So for the club, they're probably looking at it being like, However, they wanted to have Kolo Muani and Zegrova to begin with. Not for the valuation PSG wanted, but like, you can twist it. I think the morale of the story is that at the end, the player is important. And as a club, you can say no, no, no. But if you really want a player out, you really want him out, you're just going to soften your demands. And we did that with Douglas Luiz, and we were all pissed. But at the end, like, who wanted Douglas Luiz? And we didn't want to keep him, even though we're kind of short in midfield. So that's kind of an odd situation. But I think the situation at the club was like, okay, we cannot keep doing this with Douglas Luiz. He doesn't want to stay. Tudor doesn't really like him. So what is the point? But we've done it as well. But I mean, at one point, even at Komoli, he probably gifted some discounts and needed to do a loan with an option because who wanted to buy Nico Gonzalez outright or Douglas Luiz outright? Nobody. So I get it, even though as a fan, you're like, okay, this hurts, the valuation, the structure of the deal. Oh, he's coming back next summer. Arthur is coming back next summer. But yeah, this is it. And now PSG are in that same situation. The only difference is they have a lot more money than us, and they already have a better team, so they can cope with it. But for Kolo Muani, it's kind of shameful. It's kind of, I feel bad for him because I'm not saying he's desperate, like he's at Tottenham and he's crying at Tottenham, but he obviously wanted to play for us. He felt good at us. I think he fitted us as well. So now you just need to hope that Openda does well. And if you look at Openda, the way he speaks, he's extremely happy to be here. So he's motivated. It's a player who wants to be here. So I have no doubt that he will give his all and he will try his best to actually make it work from day one because he actually really, really wants to be here. So that's that. But that went, for Kolo Muani as well. And we've seen Kolo Muani play for us, and it was good, So that is the situation. So I wanted to come back to it because that it's done right now. We need to close that chapter. We have Openda. We need to look forward with Openda and Zegrova, and that's it. But for Kolo Muani, yeah, it's a shame. It's a really damn shame for Kolo Muani, the entire situation, But in the comment sections, let me know, did the club do the right thing? If it actually was at 3 a.m. and they said, no, now it's Openda and it's done. Or are you like, man, if that was the case, then we should have jumped on it and we could have saved more money and whatever, maybe invested it in the right wing back still on the last day of the window or midfielder, whatever. Let me know in the comments. We will discuss that. As always, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will speak to you guys tomorrow. Ciao.